Hello, I'm Dave Mowitz, and welcome to Successful Farming. In today's program, I track the latest prices being given for late model combines, and then we feature an outdoor display of classic horsepower in Iowa. The engine man, Ray Bohacz, is back with another one of his great repair and maintenance tips. And after these brief messages, our combine doctor continues his inspection of a combine, pointing out crucial pre-season repair and maintenance chores. So please stay tuned. Today on Top Shops, we're going to be talking combine maintenance with Rodney Edgington of Ulysses, Kansas. Rodney is the founder and operator of Combine Specialties, has worked on, it's fair to say, hundreds of combines of different colors.
That's right.
In the time that you've had the business going. And you're going to give us some tips to look for, pre-season maintenance repair tips on combines before you hit the field. And we're going to focus today on threshing and separation on that part of the combine. Now, when we get into the threshing part, we've taken delivery from the feeder house, which we've covered in another segment. It's coming in. What are the key elements to look for when you've pulled off the panels and you're looking inside there?
Well, some of the first things when it converges from the feeder house into the separator, the threshing system, is obviously your impellers are the first thing on your rotor.
Right.
You want to make sure you look in there and make sure all the hardware is still attached. Missing hardware, causes balance problems. Make sure the weights that are still attached to, make sure you don't have any loose weights because that'll throw balance problems.
Right.
Check the leading edge of those impellers, for any wear issues, excessive wear. Any damaged cracks along the front of that rotor, of the housing of the piece that holds all the impellers in there, that's a good first step to look at.
You were saying that vibration, threshing vibration, well, it's one element anymore, is one big cylinder. That's one of the leading complaints you get from farmers? I
get a lot of complaints from vibration. A lot of it could be vibration because of wear on your Rasp bars or your impellers.
Okay.
Could be your tines. You have a broken tine, maybe 4 or 5 tines on the back end of your rotor.
Right.
It could be as far as a rotor bearing out, or maybe your gearbox has problems. It could be an issue when you get vibration problems. It could be one or the other, and you don't know which one it is until you take a closer look.
Now we transition, we're into the threshing part. Is it primarily just Rasp bars that you're looking for wear?
When I look at wear on a rotor, I'm looking at the leading edge or the threshing edge of the Rasp bars.
The front, the front part of the rotor.
Right, where you've got your teeth. You have smooth bar, 5 bar, 9 bar. You look at bolt wear. You look at the wear on the rotor itself. Make sure that the welds are all good, because you'll actually have abrasive material come across the rotor itself and wear down the rotor.
How much wear can a Rasp bar take before you got to replace it?
I've seen Rasp bars work with holes in them, and I've seen smooth bars put in a small grain combine, and they work. So that's a very debatable question, because I've seen some pretty wore out combines, and I've seen guys that want to put brand new Rasp bars in every year.
Yeah.
My opinion, my suggestion is most OEM dealers have a indicator tool. That is what I follow in my inspections. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's basically to measure the
it's
depth.
the width of the depth of the Rasp bar itself,
right.
or the length of the tine, or the width of the concave bar. And those indicators are relatively inexpensive, and they really show a lot to a guy. If they're within that range, it's not just the OEMs wanting to sell more parts. It truly is performance issue. At that point, if they're wore that much, it's time to do it.
What else in the threshing area should a person look for beyond the rasp bars and the concave? That's basically it, or do you look at other aspects of that?
You know, when I do an inspection, I look at everything. Concave supports, concave mounts, the bolts that hold on to the concaves. I want to check for wear points to make sure that it's going to adjust up and down. You know, there's a lot of, we were talking about wads of material going through. That takes a lot of impact and vibration in that concave system. I've seen the fronts of concave, you pull the front concave out and it's actually wore into the front gear, the front head of the combine. I'll weld it up and fix it, or sometimes you have to replace that piece. But any of the pivot points on the concave support, a lot of times some guys might move it quite a bit, or the vibration might cause some wear points, and it lets the concave set at a level. You know, you want that concave level so it thrashes correctly from front to back.
So now we've transitioned, now we're inspecting the separation area, like on a Deere combine. What are you going to be looking for? It's the tines, right?
Right. The tines on a Deere, separator bars on a case. But what you're looking for on the tines is make sure there's no damage. A lot of times the first row and the back row will damage because of debris coming through, rocks or broken feeder house slats or something you run ingestion that you did on your combine. You want to make sure that like say if you had an indicator gauge, you can check to make sure the length is right. They're really hard, really deceiving, knowing that they're wore out. Sometimes they'll
On the tines, right?
Right.
Because they kind of wear down evenly.
Right, they wear down evenly the whole way. So sometimes it's deceiving which if they're wore out or not.
And you'll find even broken teeth once in a while, and bars that are pretty well bent. I don't think you'd have broken bars on the Case IH, do you?
Yeah, sometimes you'll see them broke or teeth knocked off. You're usually made by one solid piece, either chromium or just mild steel, the hardened steel. But sometimes the chromium ones will definitely get brittle and snap off. But it is important to make sure that they're all adequate and performing to their function. So.
Do we see much wear when it comes to the separator grates?
You know, I don't see a lot of wear when it comes to grates. I do see a lot of damage. Sometimes you'll, like say, ingestion through the combine will damage a grate. The concaves happen to be strong enough or thick enough, they usually go on through.
Oh, so they won't damage the grates on the concaves?
Well, they won't. They will damage the concave, but normally they don't punch through a concave. But the grate, separator grates are usually made of a different material. So sometimes they're more of a cast material, so that sometimes they'll bust through those. On the red machines, they have two different style of grates you can run.
That's when you're harvesting fence posts, right?
Right. That's true. So.
Anything else on the separator that we should look for, or even the drive system of the rotor itself?
Right. One of the key factors of a rotor is the rotor belt and the rotor drive. Gearbox, make sure it's full of oil, proper viscosity of oil. I check that. I recommend checking that on a daily basis, and make sure that your rotor belt is not stretched out.
Pulleys and drives, cogs and like that on the drive system, they really rarely wear out, or is it more of a bearing issue that you want to look for there?
Mostly belts. A lot of belts will have chipping or cracks.
In the belt
itself. That's usually where I see most of the damage or most of the wear.
Any other supporting things? We ought to look at the structure itself, both in the threshing and separation area, basically the framing and the mountings. Do you even ever look at that, or is there anything?
I do. I look at all the gussets on all the welds, every frame. As a repairman, I look at that type stuff. They can have structural cracks along the frame of those.
Now, Rodney, for more information about Combine Specialties, your business, where could a person go to contact you?
Well, the best place would be at combineспecialties.com.
Your website, then?
My website, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just don't do combines, do you?
No, I don't. I do everything ag equipment, tractors and grain carts, anything ag related. So
all your repair and maintenance needs in western Kansas,
engines,
eastern Colorado,
right.
this is the place to come
Engines,
then.
transmissions, you name it, I can do it. So.
Okay. Well, we'll see you again next week on another Top Shop tour.
Hello, friends. Thanks for watching The Engine Man on Successful Farming TV. I'm Ray Bohacz. And, we usually do segments on my part of the show, and we show you how to take things apart or how to diagnose things. And we're not going to do that today. I'm going to do something that's a little bit different, but it's near and dear to my heart. And I believe it should be near and dear to everyone who's viewing this heart also, is we need to understand about fuel and specifically gasoline. So the thing is that as far as gasoline is concerned, there are all different types of gasolines. And I don't mean gasoline as far as 87 octane, 89 octane, or what have you, but there are what they call boutique blends of gasoline. And a boutique blend of gasoline is a gasoline that is actually created, that is actually refined for to achieve a certain goal. You would go to California and that would be a boutique gasoline that's in Los Angeles. That'll be a different chemical composition than the gasoline that is up in the mountains of California or in the rural farmlands of California. And that has to do with the emissions that the gasoline creates when it is burned. So they're boutique blends. But what has happened is that there's been a whole industry that is formed about what they call canned fuel for small engines. And this is an excellent, excellent product. I'm not saying that it is not. But one of the talking points that the canned fuel industry uses is that they say that they're ethanol free. And that kind of gives people the impression that ethanol is bad in gasoline. And I'm an engine guy, and I think ethanol in gasoline is great. And why do I think it's great? Because number one, it's an American fuel. Number two, it's a renewable fuel. And number three, it burns very cleanly. So all of this hubbub about ethanol being bad in gasoline really has no basis whatsoever. Is it different than gasoline was 30 years ago? Of course it is, but gasoline without ethanol is different than it was 30 years ago also. And 97% of the gasoline consumed in the United States is what is called E10, which is 90% gasoline, 10% ethanol. So please, next time when you pull up to the pump, consider that ethanol-based product. Not only are you helping your neighbors, you're helping the country, and you're helping your engine because it's going to run cleaner inside. If I can answer any questions on ethanol or anything else, please feel free to contact me at sfenginemanandagriculture.com. And if you're wondering where I am, I'm in Columbiana, Ohio, at the Firestone Farm Tires Test Facility. You have a blessed day, and fill it up.
After these brief messages, I track the latest values on late model combines. So please stay tuned. I'm at a massive consignment auction being held near St. Louis by Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers. What attracted me to this particular sale is this combine. What we have here is a 2014 John Deere S680. This combine is very, very well equipped. It has automatic header height control, contour master feeder house, tank extension, integrated chopper with power caster tailboard, duals all around, and rear wheel drive. Best yet, it has just 554 separator hours. If my late father were at today's auction, he would call this combine barely broke in. Now, the challenge will be putting a value on this combine. The marketplace is glutted with such late model harvesters right now. This is definitely putting price pressure on its value. So before the sale starts, I'm going to go get some advice from Ritchie Brothers iron expert Rick Vaca. Rick, we're looking at this S680, and this is really a cherry combine, just a little over 400 separator hours, well-equipped, rear-wheel drive. But the market is glutted with these combines. So what's going to happen at today's sale?
Well, as we talked, Dave, there's compared to last year, we're probably actually seeing a slow uptick. There's a lot of less new being sold right now, so you're seeing a lot less trade-ins come in. So getting a little bit harder to find the S680. The S670 and maybe a couple of the others are a little more plentiful, but the 680 and the 690 for sure are starting to see just a little bit of an uptrend in value.
So we were working our way through this glut that we had of harvesters, and you're beginning to see solid prices coming back. But we're not selling many new ones. What's that going to mean for the future?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. So the future from now, it's going to be really hard to find a 2015 or 2016 combine with 300 hours on it, right? Because most farmers are actually running them longer, keeping them just a little bit longer. So they could become a commodity that's sought after. You know, it depends on commodities as well, of course, but never all the farming practices, but you could start to see that happen for sure.
Bottom line, if you were looking to upgrade your harvester, now's the time to do it.
Now or a year ago, Dave, you know, as it's going.
Now, we can't go
we
back.
can't go back, you're right, but you know, the prices are slowly starting to come up, and if there's some good sales out there, you need to probably grab one.
Back in the 90s, mid-90s, we had a glut of combines, we laundered it out, and I remember farmers telling me they were selling or trading in their combines for more money they paid for them, like a year and a half later. Could we have that happen here?
I think we've already had that happen a couple times here. You know, a guy has bought last year, maybe even ran the season and got similar money back for it.
Wow.
And that could continue to happen. Again, it kind of depends how many truly were sold new and how many come in used and where the demand is as far as commodity prices, but there's a good potential for that to happen, yes.
I know you hate to get in specifics on price, but you're saying we've seen an upswing. So people that are looking at this combine, when we see it sell here shortly, we can probably start seeing things maybe tipping over what, 160, 170?
I think you're going to see them up maybe 5 to 8% over last year.
Wow, really?
So maybe 3 to 8 would probably be a good number, right? Just depending on the machine. People are still after features. You know, like some of these have the power folding bins and others don't. You know, that really cuts down on your height when going into the shed or down the road. So some of the features will really bring more money now than what they have in the past. So it really kind of depends on the combine, but I do say you're going to see a 3 to 5 to 8% increase in some of these combines.
Rick, thanks for that information. Let's watch the S680 sell.
We do 120, we do 20, we do 120, we do 20,000, and 220,000, $200,000, we do 2, we do 2,000, we do 10, now $20,000, we do 20, we do 10, now $30,000, we do 20, we do 30,000, now 20, 30, now 35, we do $35,000, we 35, we get to 35, we 30, we 35 to body, we do 135,000, now 35, we get 35, 32,500, we do 137, 35, 37, 235, are you done? We do 137 now 5, 2,500 now 235. We 35, body, we get 235, 235. Here we go. We 35,000 now 35, 235. It ain't no difference in it, guys. 200. Only thing's wrong is they're cheap. We've only got 235. We 35, 35. So, 232,500.
So the S680 brought a final price of $235,000. Remember, this was a well-equipped combine, and it had low separator hours. By comparison, the sales of similar S680s have ranged from $198,000 up to $296,000. The other huge item influencing the value of late model and large combines is inventory. I checked in on John Deere's dealer listing website, machinefinder.com. I discovered just short of 1,200 S680s sitting on dealers' lots. In fact, there were over 3,400 S-Series Deere models of all kinds sitting on dealers' lots. Now compare that to the fact that the entire industry built over 5,300 combines in 2015. So it's a sure bet if you're looking for a combine replacement, now is the time to buy. Prices are soft at auction, and dealers are aggressively pricing their late model used machines. For more information about Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers, go to the website at rbauction.com, and you can catch my Steel Deals reports in every issue of Successful Farming magazine. Time for me to catch another sale. I'll see you again next week on another Steel Deals report. After these brief messages, I tour an outdoor display of classic tractors, so please stay tuned. Our age-desired feature tractor this week isn't a single tractor, but an entire display. And this display is the creation of Carol and Al Etchen of Clear Lake, Iowa. And what a wonderful layout of tractors that you have that you can see from the road. In this fleet of tractors you have, I know you have a couple Olivers in there. Those tractors were your father's?
My wife's father's.
Oh, your wife's father's then. They came from the farm that she came from. And then you have a Minneapolis Moline, JT, I think that was. Whose tractor was that?
That was one my dad had bought in Clemmy.
Oh, was he using it for threshing and shelling then?
No, cultivating.
Oh, okay.
Cultivating, we did run it on the binder.
So to prove that you're really non-denominational, you have all those John Deeres, but you got some farmals down there then. So you don't care what the color is, but you have like an H and a Cub and you got a B. Whose tractors were those?
The H belonged to my uncle. He bought that new. That Cub belonged to my brother that runs Iowa Orchards down Des Moines. But I brought it up here to restore it, and someday he's going to take it home.
So you have 3 McCormick Deerings. What's the relationship there?
Well, that's what I brought up with.
Oh, you're kidding me. You grew up with McCormick Deering.
Oh yeah, 1530. My dad, for that, he had an oil pull, and then he went to 1020s, and then he went to 1530.
And that's quite a tractor then for him to have in
Yeah.
there. But the green McCormick Deering that's in there, that's...
That's the first tractor I restored.
Oh, okay. And it was
It had a
painted...
broken block. I took and welded the block all up and ground the valves, and that was the color of it when I was on the radiator, so I took a piece off and had it analyzed. That's the first tractor I started with.
So if somebody wants to come and see your collection, you're kind of south of Clear Lake, is that how to find you?
You go 2 miles south of Clear Lake, and the first gravel road you come to on your left-hand side, turn. It's all evergreen grows, and it's all lit up at the night.
Thanks, Carol. For more information about Carol and Al Etchin's collection near Clear Lake, Iowa, you can go to agriculture.com/TV. Please join Jesse, Lori, and me next week for another outstanding show. And in the meantime, be sure to visit this show's website at agriculture.com/TV to get more information on this show and to view past episodes. See you next week right here on Successful Farming. Hi, I'm Dave Mowitz. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit subscribe right here if you haven't already, and click that little bell right here to be notified when we post a new video. And click here to see more great episodes from Successful Farming Television.